Thanks for having me today. So a little bit about myself. I have experience in SEO and WordPress over 15 years because I really like to test different things to see whether the keywords or the site structure can actually rank in Google, which bring in a lot of the free traffics. And I also do like build 50 site to test only the SEO aspect and handle hundreds of WordPress site. So I'm actually the lead organizer in Hong Kong for WordPress and WordCamp as well. So let me just get started. So my topic today will be going to talk about digital transformation in SME. But the first thing, we actually need to know whether your type of business are actually suitable for the transformation. As most of us know, a lot of traditional business like Sarah, they're closing their store, like the entire chain store. And they're going to invest 3 billion, as I remember, to invest in the next few years to go online, to go digital. So it's not just for the SME, they're having trouble, particularly for the giant like those, they're having a lot of assets and expense. So they're actually in a deep crisis. So for the transformation, I have taken of some of my clients in different categories. So I build like a simple line here. So on the left here, which is less likely the business they could transform digitally. And on the right-hand side will be very likely. Because I have some clients, they're actually running travel-related business. As you could imagine, there's actually no traveling at all. So, and it is quite difficult for them to actually transform only for digital because those are more like an experience kind of business. So you need to go to different place. And for the beauty salon and for the fitness center as well, you cannot just move their business to online. So for those business, I suppose it's quite difficult to do so. On the other hand, for restaurant, I know they actually pay a quite expensive rental. The only thing they could do at the moment would be the takeaway. So you could be joining like the food app, like the Food Panda or Deliveroo, in order to maintain or still remain some of the business, as well as you build your own website to take the order. But still, they still have a shop there. So they're in the middle of the transformation process. And on the right-hand side, which where likely you could do the transformation. For example, for education center, I mean those which they are capable to use remote tools like Zoom or Google Hangout, the kinds of remote tools. But for the little kids, it is quite difficult for them to just stick around or sit around for like 15 minutes in front of the iPad or computer. So the education center I was talking about would be a slightly older age, or actually for the adult to train the professional skill. And for retail, it will be a slightly easier because they could simply put up an e-shop and then to start selling. And for some servicing company, like maybe website design company, or maybe they're doing legal service or accounting service, they should be easier to do the transformation because your customer doesn't have to be in your office to do all sorts of stuff. You could meet your client over Zoom or other channel as well. So I saw that from Twitter that to drive the digital transformation is actually the COVID instead of a CEO or CCO, which is a good thing for the digital transformation, but bad for a lot of the business, which including Sarah. And for the challenge for the business of the digital transformation is that they actually have no experience for that because they have been doing traditional business for quite some time. And they do not know how to actually get started. And for individual or for the staff, some of the staff, they might be 50 or mid-60s, which means it is a little bit difficult for them to adapt using the remote tools. And because of the economy is bad, so which means a lot of the individual, they actually lost their job and they are forced to do other stuff. They maybe need to start a business online or providing service as well. So that is why the gig economies is getting more trending in the news or the media. Because in the past, I know a lot of people, they want to do, they want to be a slashy or they want to be a freelancer because they want to have more free time. They want to earn extra money or they want to have their own work-life balance. But nowadays, it is not an additional income. It is the main source of income. So for the gig economy, it actually rises a lot. It's not only for the individual, they try to be service provider. For people like me who always try to find people to help me to do different tasks. I've been outsourcing like 73 tasks in the past 2 years, from $300 to $1,000. So from a company perspective, they now do not have the budget to actually have a full-time or headcount for those. So which means they will be more likely to find people who are likely to work as a freelancer or from the gig economy. So from the individual perspective, if you are more open to sign up for a platform like Fire or Upwork as a service provider, at least you can generate some income from this economy. So if you have figured out that your business is one of those type which are highly likely to be transformed digitally, then you do need to know what sorts of marketing you actually need. Because if you're running a traditional business, the type of marketing is quite different to the business which is entirely online. So in order to do so, I'm going to cover some of the topics. I will use the eShop as a case, but of course, some of you might be providing online services as well. You could apply those as well. So what I'll be covering about the marketing will be how you're going to get more customer, how you're going to increase your AOV, which is the average order value, and how to increase the purchase frequencies. And if this is an e-shop, I'm going to talk about the SEO if I still got time for those. So at first, for any business, we always look for more customer. But before you do have customer or find a channel to do marketing, you need to have something in place, which is for the analytics. Say you have a website. In most of the website, I suppose they will use this Google Analytics, which is a free tool, and you can use that to track your user activities in your website. And this is a minimum tools you need to install in order to know better about your audience. And it can actually separate different channels for you to show you your traffic breakdown. Is it from SEO or pay ad or from Facebook? And also some of the website that would install something called heat map. There's a company called Hotjar and there's a company called Crazy Egg. They actually provide service like this. You install something in your website, and then you can actually track how users behave in your website. For example, whether they click on the top area, do they click more on that? If they do, maybe you want to put more important message like a promotion or news there. So when you have a promotion, at least more people will actually know that. So in order to get more new customer, there's a number of ways to do so. You could do SEO, which means you need to, but that is actually a more long-term strategy because SEO actually kicks in if you optimize your site, you build your backlink. It takes maybe 3 or 6 months before you can actually see something noticeable in your Google Analytics. But the other thing you could do is the SEM, which is the advertising in Google, or you can do ad in Facebook as well. And you have other channels like retargeting ads and or affiliate, which previous speaker mentioned a little bit about it, and social media as well. So before I talk about how to get more customer, you do need to know how to get the traffics, because without the traffics, your online site or your servicing website is not going to land any new customer. So there are actually three type of traffics you do need to note about. The first one is the free traffics, and then the paid traffics, and then you can actually own the traffics. The first one, which is the free traffics, which means the SEO. When I say free, it means that you do not need to pay any advertising dollar on that, but you do need to spend time, but time is actually money. So it's kind of like the other way to invest, but just using your time. You put more content, you automate your site, and then try to rank the keywords, things like that. And you also can put like create a lot of social media accounts, or you can post in forum in order to get more traffic to your site. So if you don't have enough budget, but you have a lot of time, you could actually do this method in order to get more free traffics. And for SEO, the traffic comparing to paid traffic or the social media traffic, they tend to be more loyal because people who go to Google to make a search, which means they have the demand or they have the intention to find something. So they tend to be more loyal, and they will stay to your website a little bit longer. But for Facebook or other social media platform, because when I go to Facebook, I go to there not because of trying to find something. I want to look for what my friend they're doing. They're sharing different stuff, right? So if I post something there, no matter is it a free post or I do advertising, to a normal user, it's a little bit disturbing because they're intentional to use Facebook is just a general friendship or social networking purpose. So the message or the way to use it will be quite different. So for very basic stuff for SEO, you need to optimize your title, your meta description, and you need to do some keyword research and put it in your content, as well as a little bit technical, which you need to submit your XML sitemap to Google so they could find your website a little bit faster. And this is how it looks like as a sitemap. It looks a little bit tacky, but if you're using WordPress, it automatically generates that for you. The other method, which is the social media, which means you need to maybe post stuff to Facebook, IG, or other channel once a day, or maybe 2 or 3 times a week with a good picture, which can resonate to the user, to your message. If you can actually resonate to them, they're more likely to like or they share your post. And also, YouTube is really a good place to start with as well, because YouTube is the second largest search engine. And because it's part of the Google products, if you put something in the YouTube, Google could quite quickly can show your content up there if your website hasn't been ready or able to rank in Google yet. So in the past, we could use Google Analytics to see the keywords, but now we need to use a Search Console because they have been hidden all the keywords in the Google Analytics now. Or if you have some friend, they are somehow or Michael or a Leno influencer, you could actually ask them to help to promote. This is my friend who is holding the cold pet juice, which is one of my, like 5 years ago, I started an e-shop to sell about the juice, cooperated with a non-profit making organization. Eventually I closed that because it's quite difficult to only have an online shop for particular for juice, and I'm not very good at the F&B business, but at least I have the experience to try different sorts of e-shop. I actually ran about 4 e-shop, and one actually sold it to another company. And from the Google Analytics, you could actually see a lot of more information, like how people, how long do they stay in your website, or which pages actually are more popular for the people to browse the information. So if you know some of the page they're more popular, which means people tend to be stay there longer, you may want to put more information, or you can put like other product there as a bundle product to increase your average order value. So this, so we have talked about engaging the customer in the Facebook. So the other traffic I will talk about will be the paid traffics. So paid traffic normally to us is the Facebook, which you can select the different profile and then to give them the ads. And in Google, you could do pay as well, which is what we call a CPC, cost per click. So if you have enough budget, you can raise your cost per click, so which means you have a higher chance to rank on the top. But the customer actually knows those are advertisings. So they tend to be more trustworthy with the organic ranking, organic search instead of the ads. But besides traffics, the other important thing will be the conversion, because if you have lots of traffics, but none of those are going to purchase or make any inquiry or initial WhatsApp check in your website, you're not going to get any business at all. So a conversion is more like, or on a page, you guide or lead a user to what you want them to do, whether to buy a product or make an inquiry. A simple marketing funnel will be something like this. So on the top, you can flow in a lot of traffics, no matter if it's free or paid traffics. And then certain percentage of those will find your product interested or the service they want to make inquiry. They will make an inquiry, and then you will get all the email or content, which we call a leads. And a smaller percentage of those, and from top down, they will end up as a customer. But that take a whole customer journey from someone who doesn't actually know you, and they get to know you a little bit better, and eventually become your customer. The entire concept will be when they first know you, that call it as cold traffics. And then you try to hit up or warm up the traffics by giving more valuable information, and then they start to trust you. And by the end of it, you can see that when the temperature actually get hotter, they will be likely to become your customer. So for a normal website, what would be the conversion rate for that? I'm afraid that percentage is actually quite low. You can call it as a 1%. I saw a lot of the e-commerce site, they're actually below 1% because they might be coming to look around for product information instead of really doing the purchase. So here's a really simple maths question. I would like you to try that as well. So if if you need to have 100 traffic to your website, so the conversion rate is 1%. So what would be the traffic at the end of it? That would be too simple. I will ask you the next question actually. So if 1% of the 100 traffic, that would be one customer. So let's say if that person, which is the one person from the 100, will make an order, which is $500. So if the traffics, I need to pay money to buy it, could you type in the chat that if you are paying $10 for the traffic, are you making money for this? Or if you're paying $2 for a traffic, are you making money for this traffics? If you think $10, you can actually earn money. Could you type 10? If you think $2 will be making money, you can type 2. Actually, I'm not sure whether you could type on the chat. Maybe not. Okay. Never mind, I can show you this table. So let's say if you have 100 traffics, 1% of the conversion will be one customer, right? So you will make 500 income. So which means if you buy 1,000 traffics with the cost of $10 each, you need to cost $1,000, which means, but you only made $500, right? So you're losing money if you are paying that much to buy a traffics. But if you are paying only $2, you're actually making about $300, for that transactions. So if really is $2 to buy traffic, which means you earn money for that. So how much would your advertising budget be? Because normally for a company, they will set limits. Say this month, we're going to put like $1,000 for the budget for the advertisings. But for a situation like this, you already know that if you buy a traffic, you're going to earn money, which means that the advertising for $2 to buy traffic, you're going to bring in $3, which means every single traffic you buy are making money. In that case, your advertising budget should be unlimited, right? Because you are making money. But that is only more like a linear hypothesis, because when you put more budget, normally it gets more competitor. But just a general idea to calculate the budget you could put in your advertisings. But let's say if I really need to spend $10 in order to get one traffic, why do I want to still continue to do advertising on those? Because something called LTV, which is what we call a lifetime value. Let's say you get a customer, which means you get a customer for $10 per traffic, right? You're losing $500 for that particular transactions. But the customer you got here, they might be buying from you 4 times a year, right? Which means their spending going to be 4 times more. In that case, the traffic you bought in for the first time is actually expensive, but for the lifetime value, they actually create more value for that. But in order to calculate the lifetime value, different companies use a different method. They might use 6 months, how many times they have been purchased from you as a foundation for the calculation. But some of the business, they will use 1 year or 2 years. So it really depends on how you calculate the lifetime value. But at least now you know, you do need to know about the lifetime value in order to make an efficient marketing budget. So the third traffic I'm going to talk about will be the EDM. When I talk about this to a lot of people, they will always say that, are you kidding me? You're still doing EDM? We're using all sorts of different methods, like we're going to text them, or you're going to WhatsApp or other channel. Yes, you can actually use all those channels as well. But from my experience, which I was doing digital consultancy and the online course, right? 80% of people for the income I got is actually derived from the EDM, because other channel when they see me is more like a cold traffic. So I get the email and then I follow up with them at build the temperature for the traffics, and then when they get hot, they will actually purchase my online course, or they will use my other service as well. So EDM is still a very effective channel to do it. Especially Facebook or any other social media channel, they always change the algorithm. So you need to get paid in order to increase your exposure. So maybe today you have 1,000 people in your fan page, you can reach them. But on the next day, when the algorithm actually change, you may only have like 10% of the organic reach. So EDM is something that is quite unique, and you can target a particular person instead of like a broadcast channel. But how do I build my email list? So there's a few things I could do, which I did use as well. The first one is actually I put a sign-up box in my website, so people who are interested in my content, they might be signed up as well. That only convert maybe 1% of those, they will sign up, which is not a lot. The other method I use is actually the Facebook ads. In Facebook, you could use ad type called lead ad, which is something like this. You could put an ad, and then my approach will be giving value to tell them that I have a free webinar about SEO or anything, which is very clearly saying I'm creating value. You're going to get this for free. So once they click sign up, it will pop up a screen showing that you can fill up your email or fill up your name. And because they're already on Facebook, Facebook will automatically fill up your information for you, unless you want to change your email address. So if those information are okay, you can click next, and with a confirmation step as well. And then you can see that it will tell you, thank you for your sign up or things like that. So the entire process, the user only need to click for like 2 times or 3 times, and you are going to get the name and the email. And I have got about 1,000 or 2,000, I couldn't remember, email in past few months from the advertising like this. And each of the leads I got is about, in Sing dollar, is less than $1 I can get a lead. And after I got the sales lead, because they know I'm going to give them a free webinar. So I used MailChimp, which is a paid version if you want to use the automation. Some people might be using ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or other tools. Because I'm the partner in Hong Kong with MailChimp, so I stayed with MailChimp for a while. So you can see that once they sign up in my list, they will be triggered and enter email automation with 7 email. Because people said that if they see your brand or your message for 7 times, they will actually remember it. So that's why I put 7. And for normal EDM, open rate is about 15% to 20%. And for the click rate is about 1% to 2%. But you can see that my average open rate is over 30%, and the click rate is always over 3%. The reason is that when someone, they sign up for your information, they intentionally knowing they were going to get something, right? So for the first email, which is a welcome email, which is the most opened and click the email as well, because they know you're going to give them something. They will open it, definitely. And then on the next day, I'm going to send them second email, which still giving more value based on the first one, which is the first email is about SEO, the second one, which is about backlink. Then the third one, I talk about my online course. I try to close the deal, but only a really small percentage will actually join my online course in this stage, because it's still early. The traffic temperature is not high enough. So that's why I will still do an email sequence for the 3 more, 4th, 5th, and 6th to provide even more value. Let them to know me a little bit more to build the trust. And then the last email, I'm going to send another offer as well, trying to close the deal. In this email, the closing rate will actually increase quite a bit, because they tend to know you a little bit more. But if they already find you annoying during the email automation process, they can just simply unsubscribe, which is fine. I got about unsubscribe rate about 0.1%, which is not a lot of people, they will unsubscribe, because what I do is I try to give more value in every single email. As long as your email are providing value, they're okay to read those. And in the MailChimp, you can actually try a little bit of combination. You can simply use their own tools to do A/B tests. For example, I change the email subject, one with the emoji, one without it. And people said with emoji, actually more people will open. But in my result, you can see that without the emoji, more people will actually open. So I prefer to test it on my own instead of just reading information online and believe what it does. And the other test I did is actually I put a YouTube here, and the other one I just simply put a link. I thought that in email, if I put more multimedia like image or video thumbnail like this, will increase the people to click on it. But from this test, you can see the first one is actually a video. The second one is only putting a link. You can see people actually doesn't like to see my face. So that's why they tend to click the link more. It's not about the open rate. It's actually the click rate, which means they're already open to see your email, but they just don't like to click on the video. So putting a link may be a better option for my customer. So the other one, topic will be the higher AOV, which will be more focusing on the e-shop as well. So in order to build up a higher AOV, you need to have a clear layout of what you do, because people who go to your website, they only stay for a few seconds. If they do not understand what you do, they will just quit like that. So the first few seconds is actually quite crucial for them to stay in your website. So you need to have a clear layout, what you do, a clear descriptions, and some images as well. And for e-commerce side, you actually can cross-selling other products as well. Maybe they're seeing orange juice, you could actually cross-sell other products like other juice as well. This is cross-selling. And also you could do a bundle. For example, if you're selling a hat, you may want to sell a scarf or jersey as well with a little bit discount. The reason to do that is that you can actually increase the average order value by providing a bundle, as well as increase your margin as well. So the reason we do upsell is, I'm going to read this for you because this is in traditional Chinese. This is actually captured from one of the news in Hong Kong. It talks about Hong Kong TV Mall, which is like Shopee in Singapore. So basically, Hong Kong TV Mall, when they have $100 income, 38% actually went to logistics. So which means logistics is a really key thing that whether your online business are going to make money or not. So if you could actually bundle a few more products in the same shipment, which means you lower the shipping cost for that transaction. So you're going to increase the margin as well as increase the average order value, which has both benefit to do so. And responsive design is definitely a must nowadays. And you could actually consider to use Facebook login or Google login if you're running eShop. So make it easier for user to sign up. And for pop-up as well, you can go to some website and you see some pop-up there when you first arrive at the website, which is really bad for the user experience. You should do pop-up with condition. For example, if they visit your website for a few pages, which means they're more interested, they already show their intention. They want to see more. They might be able to buy stuff from you as well. So in that case, you could actually pop up after a person who visits your site for 5 pages with a little bit discount, but in exchange with their email, you don't just give us something for free. You need to get the information as well. So they can get 10%, so they are higher intention to close the deal. Or the other way to do pop-up is something what we call exit intent, but that only work in the desktop. If they move their mouse away from the browser, going to close your tab, the pop-up will actually show, which means you could still have a last chance to grab attention or to get the information from the visitor. So the other thing to increase the average order value is providing a good service for the shipping. For example, if they buy for more than $300 of products, you're going to give a free shipping. That definitely is going to increase the average order value and the rating as well. Because people, they're actually quite curious how other people, they buy your product and how they actually use it. So if you can let people, or you just make up your own, I have no idea, your own review, that will increase the user to buy your product as well. But a lot of the shop, they're actually concerned if someone leave a bad comment, that would be a bad idea, right? If anyone who leave a review in your website, you could have the option to approve or to reject the comment to show on your website, right? So that will be safe for you. And having a bad comment is not actually too bad. I mean, show to the public is bad, but knowing why they don't like it is not a bad idea, because maybe the product has issue, or maybe the shipping has issue. If anyone have problem after purchasing a product, if that problem will happen to other customer as well, you actually need to fix it. So knowing a bad review or comment is actually a good thing. Just not to show to the public is fine. And for some online shop, if say you're selling flowers or some gift, they could have like different packaging, premium packaging, or you can add on a greeting card. All those stuff will add on and increase your average order value as well. And the other thing you could do is kind of like a reminder, just like this one. Say if they buy for $5,000, they will enjoy free shipping. But at the moment, their shopping cart is only like $67. So they still need to add that amount of money in order to get a free shipping, or it could be in order to get a 20% off. So in the checkout page, you can still remind your user in order to add more stuff in the cart to do the checkout. So the last bit will be the frequent purchase for the online shop. You could do what we call a flash sales. Say you have 100 products in your e-shop, you could select maybe 2 or 3 products weekly to do a flash sales. So this is not just to show on your website. You can actually send this offer to your email list as well. Because when you send out something or send out an EDM, you actually need an excuse to do that. So a flash sale is really a good excuse why you reach out to the user. You do not want to send the same message over many times. So every single week, you may have a flash sale on a particular item. And the other one is abandoned cart reminder. About 70% of the people, they will actually add a product to a shopping cart and then they will just go without checkout. Maybe because they got disturbed by someone they called them, or they was looking of a TV program. Now it's a TV commercial, so they look around as well, or the kids they cry, so they go to see what happened. So all sorts of reason that they will abandon the cart. So abandoning reminder would be a good thing to do. Maybe on the next day, you could trigger an auto email to them that, oh, okay, yesterday you actually leave some product in the shopping cart. As you forgot about it, you can remind them. If you can only rescue maybe 1% of the cart, this is going to be impact significantly overall already. And you can also do this more aggressively. For example, for the first day, you just remind them you have something in the cart. But on the second day, you could actually remind them again if they haven't still bought the product with a promotion code, which is going to expire in maybe 24 hours. You need to put urgency there. So they know if they don't buy it now, they're going to lose the promotion. So this will actually rescue quite a bit from the abandoned cart. And you could also, by knowing the client, you could do survey, but I mean survey, they actually order, and then you can show on the screen how they feel about it, or you can send them an email to do a really simple, quick survey. You never do a survey before they check out, because you don't want to create any friction before they buy anything. So you could consider this after the purchase as well. So the other thing to increase the frequency of the buying is getting the customer back to your website using a method called retargeting ads. You can simply create and put what we call a Facebook pixel, or Google have a retargeting tag as well. You can put in your website, and whoever who visits your website, the tag will actually store in the browser as a cookies, right? So whoever they leave your website, they go to Facebook, or they go to any website who has Google advertising there, they will be the first one. Your first advertising they see will be yours. So the example will be you go to Agoda to find a hotel room in Thailand, let's say. And after you go to Agoda, you go back to Facebook, and then you will see the advertising of the exact hotel room you were looking will show in the Facebook as advertising. That is what we call retargeting. Because getting someone to go to your website is not easy, right? So you do not want to lose the traffic. So by doing the retargeting, you only show the advertising to the people who are ready in your website, which means they are more likely, or they show their interest to your service or products. Because maybe 1 or 2% of people, when they go to your website, they will do the purchase, but 98% of those, they're never going to come back, right? So by using the retargeting ads, you're going to increase the conversion rate by showing the advertising to them more frequently. So this is what we cover about the free area. I see I only have like few minutes left, so I will skip to some of the slide and go back to, let me just show this to you. So after all this about traffics, about EDM, or how to increase the average order or getting more customer. So if you are a small business or individual, what you should do, so what's next? So it's actually quite practical that if you are selling products or service, you should know what are your hero product. Maybe you have 100 products, but only 2 or 3 of those are actually top selling, right? So you can simply set up a page or a simple e-shopping site using maybe WooCommerce or Shopify or Botia, any tools you actually familiar with. And then we can do something called MVP approach, which is a minimum viable products. You don't need to get everything comprehensive and ready. You can just simply launch a products and then to get ready the payment integration, and then you can already go to market to test the water. You do not want to wait for weeks or months before you test something. Everything I talk about here, you could actually test in days or in few hours. You can just go to Shopify and then sign up an account and then create a shop and then put 2 or 3 hero products in. And then you go to Facebook or you go to Google and you put $50 to only sell that hero products. You select your ideal group of user who might be buying your product based on your experience in the business, and then you can already kick in the ad, and then you can already see the result in few hours. And then you just measure whether the ads to select the right audience, or the message I put as a ad copy, is it attractive enough? If they are not, you're going to change that. So you're going to have a lot of iteration, and then try again, and then measure the data. This exercise is going to be an ongoing process. In order to find a perfect way, you can well spend your dollar for the advertising and then get a decent income as a return for the product or service. But as a solopreneur or a small business owner, if you're doing more like a people business, like training or stuff like that, I would suggest you to find your niche. What I did is that I found my niche, which is the SEO and then the WordPress, and then I start sharing information about it, trying to turn the cold traffic to the warm traffic. Eventually, I generate a sales lead and end up there now my customer. So my entire case with this, I've been doing SEO and then the WordPress for 15 years, but my friend actually have no clue what I do. They thought I'm just an IT guy who could actually fix the printer and stuff like that. So when I start sharing a lot of the video and the content in Facebook and YouTube 18 months ago, up till now, I've done about 250 blog posts, a lot of video, and online pay online course as well, with a lot of try and error and fail as well. Now I got about 1,900 fans and 4,000 email, 3,000 LinkedIn connection. All those are actually drive by the content marketing, which I put a lot of the content per week. And all those becomes a really good channel for the inbound marketing, because people who already saw my stuff, they're trying to do, but at the end of the day, they find it too difficult, or they want to learn more. So they would pay for the online course, or they would find me as a consultant. So that would be my case. And if you want to know more about me, I have a fan page and YouTube channel, but all those are actually talking in Cantonese. But you can message me if you have any question about it. So that would be my sharing. Thanks for listening. So are we
All
going to
right.
have a Q&A session now?
Yes, we are. Okay, so we've got a question here. Now, the
Yeah.
question is, do you have any suggestions for small business owners to survive and maintain their business if COVID-19 cases start increasing again?
Well, it's actually increasing about 2 times more in Hong Kong recently. So if your business nature is those are less likely to transform, I unfortunately it is not very much you could do. But if you're in the middle, which may be a restaurant, maybe a training center, or remote service, you could actually do a lot more. You could build a site, you could do some advertising to sell your products or service. All those things which could be done remotely is fine with the COVID-19, because in the past, maybe last month or 2 months ago, people are actually not getting used to do the Zoom training, especially pay someone to do the Zoom training. But nowadays, there's no other method to do besides online. And they're okay with paying some money and then to do the Zoom training. So people are getting used to it. You just need to try to learn and how to adapt to the changing environment for your business, I suppose.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we have one more question here. The
Yeah.
question is, do Facebook leads advertisements work well if we run it to get leads for our business?
Yeah. Facebook, sorry.
So the question is, do Facebook leads ads work if we run it to get leads for our business?
Actually, I spent about, I got 10 leads from Facebook every single day, which means you can calculate in 6 months, I got about 2,000 of those. Those are all cold traffics, but in order to find your right audience, my expertise is in SEO and in WordPress, right? So what I do is I select a user. They are more likely to read the information about WordPress or the SEO. And those are already showing a slightly interest on those topics, right? So which means they are more likely to convert. And I also do the direct email. And I think about 0.5 or 1% of the user, they will actually become my customer. But besides being my customer, a lot of them, they're going to go to my Facebook to like my page, or they will follow my YouTube channel as well. So what I'm trying to do is trying to be like a spider web to stick your customer in multiple channels. In that way, if somehow they unlike you or they unsubscribe your email, you still have a second chance to engage with them. So that's what I do. And I still believe that email actually works, and it is one of the top funnel to create revenue for my business as well. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth in what you just said there. Now, Ivan, we're going to have to wrap things up now because it's lunchtime.
Sure.
But it was so nice to see you again and talk to you again. And I'd like to thank you for, sharing all your first-hand information here at the Singapore Marketing Fest. So feel free to join us after lunch for the rest of the day. We still have 4 more speakers. But thanks, and I'll see you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye, Ivan.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.